All right, so here we have a lumbar spine. So let me show you the actual components that make it easier to understand what's going on. Obviously, we have our vertebral body over here and the rest of the vertebral arch at the back. The key structures that I was referring to were as follows. So I'm going to bring in these pins and kind of zoom in. Right? So first of all, this over here is the superior articular process, where it articulates with it's a superior aspect of the articular process of this vertebra, which interacts with the inferior articular process of the top vertebra. Okay, so that's the superior articular process. And if you go down over here, this is the inferior articular process. Okay, so superior and inferior. I also talked about the lamina and the pedicle. Okay, so here is the lamina, where it's connecting the transverse process to the spinous process over here, so the connection here. And then over here, we have the pedicle, which connects the vertebral body to the actual rest of the structures at the back, or really vertebral body to the transverse process, if you will. Okay. So again, getting rid of these pins over here, again, we have the vertebral body in the front, transverse processes on the side, spinous process over here. It's connected via the lamina, and then the pedicle is connecting these two. Then we have our superior articular process, see how it's connecting to the other one, and the inferior articular process. Okay, and so if you've ever heard of the term the Scotty dog, this is where it comes in. So if I have my spine in AP, lateral, and then somewhat of like an oblique, you kind of see that Scotty dog appearance coming in, right? So that's the nose of the dog, that's kind of like the eye, the ears, and then the neck. Okay, so a pars interarticularis, or a pars defect, is a fracture through the neck of the Scotty dog, aka right here, in between the superior and inferior articular processes. Okay, so this is usually quite difficult for people to understand, and even for me as well. So, but if you understand the anatomy of the spine correctly, then that makes it a lot easier. Okay, so vertebral body, transverse process, spinous process connected with the lamina, and then the pedicle is over here, and then we have the superior and inferior articular processes, which is in between essentially the neck of that Scotty dog. That's what happens in spondylolysis, and is essentially a stress fracture in this area, which we call the pars interarticularis, or a pars defect.